Two games to discuss today: Phoenix at Dallas, Miami at Philly. And we can talk a little bit about what happened on Saturday. Gino Bacola here, along with Eric. So, one day yesterday, earlier, we had game three, Boston, Milwaukee. Later in the night, blowout for Golden State. Although that maybe from shot quality was not as much of a massive deficit as you might think. We'll talk about that one a little bit later. But Bucks Boston's been a really fun series. We were kind of joking a little bit. I know our buddy Leo is like complaining about the refs and the officials because of that last Marcus Smart. Was it a shooting foul or not? But I don't know if they should be complaining about officials, Eric. But this is something we were just talking a little bit about.
With how the NBA has been called this year, that wasn't a foul. So if you're going on consistency, that wasn't a shot based on how it's been called this year. I thought it was a real sloppy game. I was texting my buddy Brandon, who does the NASCAR stuff with me. I was like, there's a high probability Portis and Williams are going to get in a fist fight just because with how physical the game was. I think the Celtics took like 17 free throws in the second quarter. So, no, excuse me, the fourth quarter alone. I don't know. Like, to complain about the officials, that's not my thing. I thought the whistle was going the Celtics way, but again, I am a Bucks season ticket holder, have Bucks future ticket prices, and was invested on the Bucks. The Bucks did start going down low more. I think that the Bucks do need to use Giannis with his back to the basket more, just to kind of make everything a little bit more easier for him.
Of Giannis going right at him, right?
Yeah, they just need to post him up. They have such a size advantage. That Lopez prop we talked about hit very early, which was nice to see. End of the day, Tatum needs to get it going. Everyone was talking about how Tatum's going to get a seat at the big boy table. Tatum can't play like that and expect to get a seat at the big boy table. Al Horford, it's two ways of looking at it with him. He just made himself a lot of money, but I don't think he should leave Boston at all with how he's been playing because they have a thing for him. And if Williams gets hurt, and they have to rely on Daniel Theis, he's a real liability defensively. Neither team's shooting well. This is going to be a defensive series, but I still like the Bucks. I still like the Bucks a lot.
We were able to get the Giannis 30 points and a Bucks win prop home yesterday. We were also able to get the boosted Giannis points and assist prop home yesterday. It felt like there was a monster game from him coming, right? And the one thing that we said was Grant Williams, who's had an awesome series, you just don't want to like poke the bear. The Giannis, LeBron, Curry type of guys, like you don't need to give them any extra motivation to come and like take your soul, you know, because those are the type of guys who can really come at you in a game and make it difficult. And everything changes when you go from that home crowd in Boston and they're lifting you up, and now you're on the road. And you're in Milwaukee, you just don't get that same boost, right? That same energy.
That Grant Williams 9.5 points total under, God, that was a sweat because he had 9 for a while. There was like 4 free throws and questionable calls. It is what it is. It hit. So yeah, that game was a good for both you, myself, and Kyle. In terms of the other game, I thought it was just a real poor defensive effort from Memphis. I was really high on them defensively.
They were up. They were hitting everything early, just nailing everything early. Threes all over the place, like just insane, on fire. And it reminded me a little bit of game one with Boston and Milwaukee, where it's like at the end of the first quarter, you felt like Memphis did everything right. It was like 5 points. It was like, this is a little bit scary. Memphis should be up by about 15 right now because the Warriors are going to make their run. And it was sort of the same thing. I remember game one of the Boston series with Milwaukee. Milwaukee kept turning the ball over early, over and over and over again. And it felt like Boston should have been up by like 15. I texted you like, I think we're in an okay spot for Milwaukee because they should be down a lot more right now. And then all of a sudden, the Warriors just start hitting everything. It was one of those Warriors games where it's like they're at home, the crowd's going nuts, and you could just feel the energy, and they lift off of it. So it's going to be a very, very big game for Memphis coming up next because can't go down 3-1.
No, you can't. You can't do it. Did get the Wiggins prop. We lost the Memphis plus the 7.5.
Yeah.
Got the Wiggins over threes. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens with Morant's leg. I don't think Poole did that intentionally.
No.
I think he kind of grabbed it as like to balance himself. And it's always funny to me because these players move at such a high level with quickness. To think that someone is able to grab his knee and to push it out of place intentionally, no. It's the same thing with the Embiid elbow. I don't think Siakam was doing that intentionally.
No.
So, it's going to be interesting. Even if Morant doesn't go, Dylan Brooks will be back. Grizzlies have shown that they do.
They played well without Morant.
Without Morant, and they're actually better defensively because teams like to attack Morant.
They're bigger and they're switchier.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's going to be value on Memphis in game 4. I'll definitely be on Memphis again. Expect a little bit of a better effort. And I don't know. Like, Kuminga played great. Is he going to play as good as he played? And don't get me wrong. As much as everyone is hyping Jordan Poole as the next coming of Kawhi and everything, I don't think he's there quite yet.
Yeah. No, he's not. He's not.
Yeah.
And we will get into those games again. Every day there's an NBA game. We're going to be talking about it right here on BetterThan.Vegas BTV Bets. Let's talk about the 2 games we've got coming up today, Eric. In game 1, Phoenix at Dallas. And Dallas is still a home dog in this situation. What's interesting here is that you got the Mavericks at plus 2.5. If you play them on the money line or so, you can get them at plus 120. That's what I'm going to do again right here. I think a lot of people jumped on Phoenix after those first 2 games. The games 1, games 2, Phoenix was so impressive. They looked really, really good. And I think everybody just assumed that Phoenix was going to wipe the floor with Dallas in here. Dallas made some adjustments. Game 3, they look great. Heck, they had an 83% shot quality percentage of winning that game. It wasn't fluky. They actually dominated that game. I'm leaning Dallas in here. How are you looking to attack this game?
Well, I got 3 plays. 3 plays in this game. Play number 1. Sorry about that. Play number 1. Crazy text message. Play number 1. I'm going Ayton over 17.5 points. The one weakness of this the Dallas Mavericks defense is the interior. I feel that the Suns have gotten away with that. You look at his splits. Game 1, 25 points, 12 of 20. Game 2, 9 points, 3 of 6. Game 3, 16 points, 16 of 20. I expect them to realize, hey, we need to get Ayton in here. We can't allow the Mavericks to play small, have Burton's, Keebler out on the perimeter, just extending the defense. We need to make them work defensively. So I like Ayton here over the 17.5 points. Play number 2 kind of piggybacks that. Going back to the well, hit it. Last game, Chris Paul under 17.5 points. Kind of goes back to what I just said. I expect Paul to look to get Ayton involved, thus, looking to pass up a shot, get him involved, especially early in the game. And you talked about adjustments. The big thing that the Mavericks did is they took the page out of the Pelicans book. They picked up Paul full court, have it be with Brunson, have it be with Bullock, make the game a little bit more physical for him, make him work a little bit more. And because of those defensive adjustments, Paul had one of his worst games in the playoffs, committed seven turnovers, didn't shoot the ball well. So I'm going to bank on that to happen again and bank on Paul to get Ayton involved. So I took Paul under 17.5 points. My last play, I love this Mavericks team. I absolutely love them. I love their defense. I love Luka. Again, with the adjustments that we talked about, Luka had been great the first 2 games. Game 1, he had 45 points. Game 2, he had 35 points. But in game 3, he only had 26. The big difference was he was a plus 26 on the court. He was getting his teammates involved. And we talked about that, you and I and Kyle, before game 3. You have to get the other guys involved. I like the ball movement. I like getting Brunson. I like getting Dinwiddie involved. I like the Mavs here. And Mavs 29-12 straight up at home for the year. 12-2 straight up at home since the All-Star break. I took the plus 2.5 though. So I got the Mavericks plus 2.5 as my last play.
Well, let's get Dallas home today. I got the money line. Eric's got plus 2.5. We move along. Anything else in game one you want to mention, buddy?
I love the fade of the public, right?
Yeah.
I love the fade of the public. I'll give you a shiny Busch Light if you can guess the percentage of money that is on the Phoenix Suns as of 12:11 p.m. Eastern time.
82.
Dude, son of a bitch, dude.
Is that it?
82%.
Look at me.
I owe you a Busch Light. Yeah.
Send it on over this way. Send it on over.
When it's over 80,
that's like a red flag.
Yeah, that's a huge red flag. Small road favorites. I love fading. I'll take the Mavs.
Mavies for me and for Eric. Let's go to the second game. We've got Miami at Philly. I've got one play in this game today, and obviously this entire series shifted with Embiid back now, right? It's a way different series now. Miami can. What we saw in game 3 is like Bam is just not the same player on the court when he has to deal with Embiid. He can't do anything really offensively. Bam's not a very skilled offensive player. He's a very good defensive player. We talk about this with Bam a lot. Like, he doesn't really have much of an offensive game. You've got someone like Embiid in there. You see, he goes down in there and he doesn't even attempt. Embiid that's the one thing we've said about him for, as much
years.
As he's goofy, right? Yeah. As much as Embiid is goofy and he's immature and he says weird stuff, and sometimes him just standing there like this is a huge deal. Just standing there. And I think Philly's in good shape today, but the one play I'm going to make, Embiid's points total, because he missed a few games, and then last game and the mask and everything, it's all the way down to 23.5. That's really low for Embiid.
Yeah.
Like 24, 25 points is all we need to get for him to hit that total. I'm going over the 23.5 points for Joel Embiid tonight. That's the only play I have in this game. How about you for Miami, Philly?
I got 2. Play number 1, I'm going with the Sixers minus the 1.5.
Yeah, that's the way I'm leaning to.
Just having Embiid there changes absolute everything. It frees up Maxey, frees up Harden, frees up Green. And we saw it. Maxey and Green were getting open looks from 3 that they weren't getting in the previous games. So that's going to get the spacing going better on the floor. Also, defensively, what the Heat were able to do is the Heat were able to go pick and roll with either Reed or Jordan. And that was an insane, I think it was like 1.7 points per possession they were able to get with Embiid out there.
Yep.
They can't do that. They can't switch everything defensively because then there is a mismatch with Embiid. Lowry came back. Offense really didn't look right with Lowry for the 76ers. So I like the 76ers here minus the 1.5. I just feel with Embiid there, like you said, the Heat really don't have anyone to combat that. And how the Heat play offensively, everything is catch and shoot threes. They don't have that one guy on the wing that can go get his when they need it. So, I like the 76ers here.
They're the type of team that, like in football, we talk about in the Miami, I would love in an underdog situation. Like if they were to play in Boston in a couple games where like you probably think Boston would beat them easily, I'd like Miami there. But I don't like Miami in these series where they're like favored, or in situations like this where it's like it's even pick 'em games with teams that might be better than them. They're just not overwhelming, right? They're not a juggernaut offensively. They're not a team that even when they play their best, they're not going to crush you. So their margin of error is not huge. And it's something we've harped on over and over again. There are times in this series when Maxey, like now, if Maxey's playing well, there are some games where it's like, oh, wow, if Maxey's playing really well and Embiid's playing well, and even if Harden is still a better Lowry right now, even this version of Harden, he still does a little bit more than what Lowry's able to give them. They've got 3 of the better players, most of the time out there with Jimmy Butler and then these other 3 guys. So huge game again, these game 4s where it's 2-1, 3-1 versus 2-2. I mean, 3-1 is another one of those where you just feel like you're done. And it's so hard to come back and win 3 straight.
I'll be honest, like just looking at these matchups, the only team that I feel if they go down 3-1 that would be capable of coming back would be the Celtics.
I completely agree because especially because
that's the only team.
They're at home, right? They got a couple games in home that they would still have an opportunity to get back. I think Boston still has 2 more home games, right? Of the 4 that are remaining.
Yeah.
It's 2-1, and Boston still, they still have flip 2-2 still to go. So Boston could get down 3-1, go back and win 1 game at home, and then all of a sudden it's 3-2. You steal a game in Milwaukee in game 6, then you get game 7 at home.
Yeah.
So
then you get,
that I completely agree with you. Philly, I don't think so. If they got down 3-1 with everything going on, it would be hard for them. But if they win this game today, I think they're right back in it. And it feels like they've got all the momentum because they can look at themselves and go, wow, we've been the better team with Embiid.
Yeah. And also, like shot quality said, the first 2 games were their wins.
Absolutely.
One thing to mention, this round of the playoffs, home teams are 10-2 straight up. Only losses were the Warriors won in game 1 at Memphis and Milwaukee won game 1 at Boston. Those have been everything. Other than that, all the home teams have been winning. I expect the trend. You expect the trend to continue today. My other play, though, is I'm going to Tyler Hero over 15.5 points. He missed going over by 1.5 points, and he had his worst shooting game of the whole year, the calendar year. He averages 17 points against the Sixers, has gone over the 15.5 points for the 6 games versus the Sixers in 2 of the 3 games in the playoffs. And he's kind of like the key to the second unit. He can't rely on Jimmy Butler to get 33 points. The difference between the Heat and the Bucks need Giannis to get like 40, 42, and then everyone else to combine for 60.
Yep.
The Heat can't rely because they're such rhythm shooters of Jimmy Butler to get 33 and everyone else, as crazy as it sounds. So yeah, I like Hero in the bounce back spot.
Hero for Eric. We're both leaning today with the home teams, Philly, Dallas. I'm going to go Embiid over 23.5. That's just a number that's very low now because of the recent form. We have 2 more games to dissect tomorrow.
We got to do our first basket. Who are you going with?
Yeah. I was going to say, do you have anything else? Because I was going to ask you before we get out of here.
I got to go Ayton. Got to go Ayton in the Suns game. I expect that.
So
I know it's low. It's embarrassing low. But first basket of the game, he's only plus 430, but I think he's the key for them. So I'll take Ayton plus 430 first basket.
Ayton plus 430. Let's see. So first basket for me in the first game, I'm gonna lean. You know what? Chris Paul is plus 1200, and we've seen him even a couple times in the series go get the first bucket and then slow down, right? Like he'll get the bucket. And then get everybody else involved, and then he'll ramp back up in the fourth quarter. So I'm going to go Chris Paul plus 1,200 in game 1. Who would you look to play in game 2?
Embiid. I think they're going to look to. I know I'm going the small chalk.
But you have to.
So I'll take Embiid. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you because I went Embiid over. It feels like not that they got lucky with Embiid coming back that game, but keep in mind, like earlier in that day, he just got cleared from the concussion protocol. So they didn't even know that he was going to be ready to go. And that was what is the problem you were kind of hitting on too. It wasn't like he hurt his hand and he was able to run and still practice, or still train, ride the bike, do all those things. When you have a concussion, you don't do anything. They don't let you do anything. You don't get to do any training whatsoever. You sit. So he was out of shape for sure. This yesterday or in the most recent game, it'll be a little bit better here, right? He'll just be sharper, he'll be tighter, and I think they'll make more of a concerted effort to get that MVP Joel Embiid involved. Eric, good stuff as always, my friend. Tomorrow we've got 2 more games to discuss. We'll talk game 4, Boston, Milwaukee, game 4, Memphis, Golden State, a huge one for both of the teams that are on the road. They want to be able to even the series up. They don't want to go down 3-1. And Boston, the team that we feel like if they did, maybe has a small shot. Those have been fun back and forth games so far. We continue on with round 2 of the NBA playoffs. I'll see you tomorrow, buddy. Good stuff.